Hi guys, welcome back my channel Rosam Tech. Today we will start from where the previous video, and before we start the video please subscribe my channel and click bell icon. Let's start the video. And again, many years after that, there was an even better joke. For another collie had just arrived, son of the collie who was a son of the first collie, and Chips would say, punctuating his remarks with that little that had by then become a habit with him. Collie, you are a splendid example of inherited traditions. I remember your grandfather, could never grasp the relative absolute, a stupid fellow, your grandfather and your father. To I remember him. He used to sit at that far desk by the wall. He was not much better either, but I do believe, my dear Collie, that you are the biggest fool of the lot. Roars of laughter. This growing old, but he sad joked too in a way, and as Chips sat by his fire with the Ottoman glass rattling the window, the waves of humor and sadness swept over him very often until tears fell, so that when Mr. Wicket came in with his cup of tea, she did not know whether he had been laughing or crying, and neither did Chips himself. Second chapter. Across the road behind a rampart of ancient elms lay Brookfield, russet under its Ottoman mantle of creeper, a group of 18th century buildings centered upon quadrangles, and there were acres of playing field beyond. Then came the small dependent village and the open fen country. Brookfield, as Weatherby had said, was an old foundation established in the reign of Elizabeth as a grammar school. It might with better luck have become as famous as Harrow. Its luck, however, had been not so good. The school went up and down, dwindling almost to non-existence, at one time becoming almost illustrious at another. It was during one of these later periods in the reign of the first George that the main structure had been rebuilt, and large additions made later after the Napoleonic War and until mid-Victorian days. The school declined again both in numbers and in repute. Weatherby, who came in 1840, restored its fortune somewhat, but its subsequent history never raised it to front rank status. It was nevertheless a good school of the second rank. Several notable families supported it. It supplied fair samples of the history making man of the age, judges of parliament, colonial administrators, a few peers, and bishops. Mostly, however, it turned out merchants, manufacturers, and professional men with a good sprinkling of country squares and persons. It was the sort of school which, when mentioned, would sometimes make snobbish people confess that they rather thought they had heard of it. But if it had not been this sort of schools, it would probably not have taken Chips. For Chips, in any social or academic sense, was just respectable, but no more brilliant than Brookfield itself. It had taken him some time to realize this at the beginning. Not that he was boastful or conceited, but he had been in his early 20s as ambitious as most other young men at such an age. His dream had been to get a headship eventually, or at any rate a senior mastership in a really first class school. It was only gradually after repeated trials and failures that he realized the inadequacy of his qualifications. His degree, for instance, was not particularly good, and his discipline, though good enough and improving, was not absolutely reliable under all conditions. He had no private means and no family connection of any importance. About 1880, after he had been a Brookfield a decade, he began to recognize that the odds were heavily against his being able to better himself by moving elsewhere, but about that time also the possibility of staying where he was began to fill a comfortable niche in his mind. At 40 he was rooted, settled, and quite happy. At 50 he was the doyen of the staff. At 60, under a new and youthful head, he was Brookfield, the guest of honor at all Brookfield dinner, the court of appeal in all matter affecting Brookfield history and tradition. And in 1913, when he turned 65, he retired, was presented with a check and writing desk and a clock, and went across the road to live at Mr. Wicket's. A decent career, decently close, 3 chairs for all chips, they all shouted at that uproarious end of term dinner. 3 chairs indeed, but there was more to come. An unguessed epilogue and encore played to traffic audience. Here's today's videos. See you the next video. Thank you for watching my video.